stance on String's life is so brittle. Be healed and fight on.
Hello and welcome Exiles to like the fourth time I've recorded this video. League start, Scion. I have myself unmuted. I definitely hit record this time. I'm gonna actually go through this really quickly because I've already spent like an hour of re-recording this video and I'm losing my mind a little bit because I keep messing up. Point is, why is this a good League starter? Holy Relic, what does it do? What are we working with here? Cheap early gear progression. Helmet, belt, both very cheap items, both very common. Boom, boom, bang. Staff, 6-link. This is way cheaper than a body armor. Early on, we just get a 6-link staff, an Essence of Fear, boom, we're all the way into early red maps cleanly. After that, a little bit further into the gear progression, we have a few hundred chaos to our name, we get ourselves an Empower, and we get ourselves Essence of Fear. We just use that until we hit +1 socketed. We benchcraft on +2 supports. It only costs 2 exalts, which is actually really, really cheap, considering it used to be something that was a 2 Divine Orb cost, but since they swapped the Exalt and Divine, it actually is pretty affordable to make this staff and doesn't cost a lot. And all of a sudden, we're ready to get all of our Void Stones. That's basically the gear progression there. Not only that, our gear everywhere else is cheap because we have Scion Pathfinder Flask. This node right here, plus just this cluster with the Utility Flask gain extra charge, essentially, if we have reduced charges used or charge recovery on our Tri-Elemental Flasks, is 100% uptime, and then really good uptime for our Quicksilver and really good uptime for our Roomies. So right out the gate, we have really free res, and on our gear, we pretty much just need life and maybe some chaos res, and all of a sudden, we have a character that feels really good to gear because it doesn't cost a lot. On top of that, the other reason we went Scion is for Necromancer Offering Effect. Basically, this version of Necromancer, where we take the Offering Effect and we take the minion AoE, those are the two most important things for Summon Holy Relic, in my opinion, and it allows us to also have a passive tree where we get way more passives because we have Scion passives, and on top of that, we get to have the free res and with the movement speed, and it feels good to play compared to a Necromancer, where a Necromancer usually does the boots, which I think are still just slow, like the Blight boots. I think having the speed from Quicksilver, the speed from Flesh Offering just ends up being a feels better mapper than the Blight boots, in my opinion. And you get to have Brittle, which is more crit for our Holy Relics. So, anyways, point is, get the feels good block, get the feels good movement speed and resistances, easy gearing, cheap gearing. That's the main idea. Eventually, this version of the character, which I think is after Void Stones, roughly in terms of gear progression, we're grabbing an Awaken Orb chest where we Awaken Orb Offering Effect and Aura Effect, and we could get a +1 curse with a Suffixes Can't Be Changed Reforged Caster. Point is, I hit this on my Awakener Orb, I didn't have the heart to re-roll over it, and then I got a crappy amulet with +1 curse. This is not the amulet we want to use long term, but this is just showcasing what the build would look like if I had +1 curse on my chest, and then just pretend we have a real amulet here, and life will be fine. Moral of the story is our current gear progression is set up for just kind of after Void Stones, where we've killed a few bosses a few times, got a little bit of currency under our belt. We got the initial Awaken Minion damage, Awaken Brutality. We've got that initial investment going on, and we're rocking and we're rolling. And I've done a showcase of a Guardian. I've done a showcase of... We'll do a showcase of Minotaur. I did a showcase of the Invitation where we just cleaned it and it was no problem at all. But we'll just do a showcase of a Minotaur so we can just have something to show you while I walk and talk with you guys. Minion, possessed, blah, 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 blah. Reduce damage from crits. What do we want to actually roll on this? Monster life, AoE, less recovery rate, more monster life. I don't know if I want to do that. Max res, minus attack speed. Sure, let's do this one. Okay, so walk and talk with me, guys, because I cannot be bothered with making this video longer or taking a lot of time to record this. Moral of the story is, the other day, I saw a video of Holy Relic, and I thought, man, that golden circle animation just looks kind of cool. I thought, that looks interesting. Could this be something I could League start with and play this skill as a League starter? And initially, I set up a Guardian character, because I thought Guardian could be fun with Onslaught. I thought the Unnerved, that'll be cool early on, blah, 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 blah. Moral of the story is, I did a Guardian test. The Guardian was decent. The Guardian setup 100% could do the Void Stones, but it just moved kind of slow. This character with the Flesh Offering up and Spirit Offering up and all those sorts of things, we move pretty dang fast. We're kind of cooking. and it's got the feels good of one button, spin to win, cool golden novas going up. Long story short is, I've refined the build. I tested it with the Guardian setup. Guardian setup was good, but not good enough. This Scion version is just better in every way. I'll give you a little look at the Guardian version. You'll see it's significantly slower and worse all around. But long story short is this character's cheap to put together and has really smooth gear progression. Barring GGG doesn't nerf Holy Relic into the ground, which wouldn't make sense. Holy Relic isn't like meta or anything. Barring they don't do something like that, this is the League starter I will end up doing. Minus some really cool skill comes into the scene. Like if there's some like really cool skill that happens, I could see maybe being tempted to League start some random cool skill. But right now I'm leaning pretty heavily towards this. We're still a month away from patch notes. Things could still change, but man, does this character feel good to play. Feels good progression. If there isn't some huge change to this, I will be making a full-on League start guide video for this character, probably because I think it's going to be really good, and it's what I'm going to most likely League start. I want to redeem myself from last League starting vaal VG. That character was a letdown. It was a failure in my eyes, and I want to give you guys a really good League starter, and this is so far what I've come up with, and I think it's a really good League starter, basically. Let's go ahead and showcase... I guess we'll showcase a Drox. Drox should be fine to showcase. This character, level 88, the character I just showed you with Scion, is level 98, but I have 3 less passives to simulate a level 95 character. All the jewels in that character are life plus minion damage, just 2 stat jewels. And then the gear case, and I'll have the POBs for these builds below, so you can kind of judge for yourselves. Moral of the story, it's I've put together characters that I believe fall under the category of cheap to put together. Basically cheap to put together, smooth gear progression, and for the power level they will get you through basically endgame content smoothly, as well as hopefully pretty convincingly. Alright, so we have, let's just do I don't know if the map friggin' modded. Do I want to pick less accuracy, crit minus max, physics extra? I don't know if I want to do that. That'd be maybe a little bit too dangerous. Desecrated ground, less curse effect, less AoE, whatever. We'll just run a map. I don't know. I'll just showcase what we had here, which is a level 88 Guardian. Essentially, really potato gear. And the only goal with this character was basically to test out Holy Relic to begin with, to see what it was like. And I came away with the conclusion that this 100% could be a strong build on... Oh my word, I was like, what is happening? I'm getting sucked down. A strong build on not a lot of budget, but I didn't like it enough. And so I went back to the drawing boards where I came up with the Scion setup, which I like much more, basically. I'm much more convinced by it as a build over this Guardian setup. But this is essentially represents a much cheaper, less well thought out version of the build, and it's still going to be just fine for early Guardians. Just picture this build, but better with the Scion version is the main thing you have to take away from this, from what I'm showcasing here. Because obviously, this is clearly still enough for this content now. Maven's going to go ahead and heal Drox, which is kind of not cool, but we should still be fine to finish off Drox regardless. We'll take Hand of Justice. Scion also has better phys reduction, not to mention the better block. So that's a selling point for it, I guess. And, yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I'm selling you guys on Holy Relic, but I'm just letting you know, I'm convinced that it's quite a good build, and I'm heavily planning to League start it myself. Unless they heavily nerf it, or there's some other really cool skill that just lures me in and tempts me too much to play it, sort of situation, you know? One of those sorts of situation. Now, Maven with Drox is kind of troll, especially a Maven that does healing. And I have less curse effects, so my vulnerability does less. But surely we will win this war of attrition, and I won't lose the Drox here. Please. Please don't let me lose the Drox here. I just need to get him to the next phase, because this phase he has that... No, don't be healed and fight on. Stop saying that. Screw you, Maven. You know what I should do? This is like one of the troll scenarios. Maven with healing on Drox in the damage reduction phase. I think we're still going to phase it over, but if you ever have problems with something like this, all you need to do is you need to invest into the life mastery that has reduce life regeneration, and then you need to, well, I guess you get a frostbomb, but if you don't want to do frostbomb, mastery with reduced life regeneration, or man, crap, I was so close to finishing. Anyways, mastery with reduced life regeneration, and then the Pantheon, the Life Flask Pantheon, I'm pretty sure that one gives you, I'm pretty sure that Pantheon gives you, oh, what's it called? Reduced life regeneration on enemies, right? Yeah. So you do this Pantheon plus the mastery for reduced life regeneration. That's how you deal with the scenario where Maven is giving healing to Drox on his damage reduction phase, something like that. I mean, it doesn't make it look like we do a lot of damage with this character. Actually, it does quite a bit of damage, and that it would be even more if we were the Scion version, because we get more minion damage on the Scion version. Blah 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 blah. All this to say, Guardian version I tried was pretty good, or it would have been a solid League starter, but then I tried out the Scion version, and it's just faster, more feels good. I am going to be making a build guide on this, barring there isn't some huge nerfs to Holy Relic or huge nerfs to either one of the, it's basically to the Scion Ascendancy, and barring there's no big new skill that makes me want to play that more. And even then I might still make basically the build guide on this, because I think it's such a solid League starter. I really do. I think this is fantastic. I like it a lot. So anyways, long story. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gets you excited a bit for potential League starters next League. This is what I'm considering heavily to play, and maybe you guys play it, maybe you don't. As always, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Take care, Exiles.